Why, hello, friends and fans of the podcast. This is your host, Artie Astor. Another riveting episode of B Sharp and C is underway. By the way, I actually had to change the name of the podcast. The umbrella was called Song. S-O-N-G with a period separating each letter. I don't know why that wasn't searchable. I would tell people, hey, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, and then S period, O period, N period, G, and they would never find the podcast. So it's like, okay, well, I can't keep it like this. I mean, we've had really amazing support. This podcast has been live just a couple of months. And we had a lot of hiccups in the beginning. We didn't know exactly what the format was going to be. Both Gabe and I had to work on how can we record our voice to make it actually sound like a podcast. We didn't want to make it sound like a phone conversation or a Skype call or anything like that. And quite honestly, I'm still working on like sitting still in my seat. If I move too much, my seat will creak, and then I got to use like gate or something to get rid of those low sounds that come in just because I'm moving around in my seat. So now it's like, okay, just don't move, sit still when you talk, or use WD-40, one or the other. So, anyways, this is another episode of B Sharp and C. I was thinking of this long, elaborate introduction for this next artist that we need to B Sharp and C. However, no introduction would be good enough for Eunice Kathleen Wayman. Who am I talking about? Nina Simone. She is the sixth of 8 children from North Carolina. Now, I could sit here in my studio and simply regurgitate to you her Wikipedia page and then post this and be on my way. One more sode under my belt. However, I've said it many times, and it's definitely worth repeating. We're not a biographical podcast. Some portions of her past did contribute to how she created music, and there were some things that forged her way, decisions that she made, but also some circumstances beyond her control that kind of pushed her into the path that she took. So some things are worth mentioning. Now, Nina Simone, or Eunice, by the age of 3, she started playing songs on the piano by ear. Now, I'm just going to stop right here. If you have children and 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, they're showing this real strong interest to that $20 keyboard that you bought them. Or they're showing interest towards music. Now, they could be 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. When they do that, do not ignore it. Do not ignore it. Music opens up. It just opens up so much in the brain and helps in a child's development, but also could be an excellent conduit for when they become an adolescent and other things are now creeping into their life or knocking at the door. Music could be an escape, and it actually could be a safeguard. So it's just a little thought that I had. And here we can see Nina Simone at the age of 3, sitting down at the piano, playing little things by ear. And it was musical. Both her parents were Methodist preachers. She learned certain values by being raised by religious parents, but she was also given a chance to showcase her music in church. So she did that. But just the piano. She only played the piano in church. And she grew up learning how to play classical music. So just like myself, her first love was Beethoven, Bach, Chopin. And why not? That music has proved to be timeless and beautiful. When she graduated high school with honors, actually she graduated valedictorian of the high school, the community raised money. Now, she must have been really loved by people. The community that she lived in raised money for her to study at Juilliard, and she enrolled in Juilliard, and then they would move to Philadelphia because she wanted to go into the Curtis Institute of Music. This is what I thought was interesting. Here she is, valedictorian of her high school, Juilliard accepted. She absolutely kills it on her audition for the Curtis Institute of Music, and they deny her. Now, she thinks it's because she was black. And quite honestly, I agree with her. I mean, it was 1951, after all. Need I say more? And she had everything going in her favor. And interestingly, just days before she died, they gave her an honorary degree. Okay, so maybe they felt guilty. I don't know what the case is. This was, 52 years later or something like that. Anyways, it was a long time coming, because I believe she should have absolutely gotten accepted to that school. But at the same time, I'm happy she didn't, because I believe it pushed her in a different direction. Just 3 years later, she actually gets a gig playing in a bar. Now, in between that time, so she gets denied from the school, she starts teaching people music. She knew that music was somehow going to be in her future. She just knew it, and she kept it close by, and trust me, that's important, because, I know people, and I myself, when I realized that, music isn't going to be my career, I almost gave up on music. And I went years without playing. And that was a mistake. I started guitar at 42, for crying out loud. I gave it up. I thought that it was, it's imbalanced for me to do this. And that's just not the correct thinking. Music is an escape. She knew this. She kept music close to her. She taught piano for a few years. 1954 rolls along. Young Eunice Kathleen Wayman auditions at a bar in Midtown Atlantic City. Something her mother felt very strongly against, so Eunice had to give birth to Nina Simone. If her mother heard of this wonderful vocalist and pianist singing in a bar, well, her mother would not approve. I mean, it was the devil's music. If she was to go to a bar and sing, she was singing in the midst of hell. Her mother was very strongly against this, so Eunice became Nina. And she never looked back. She continued to play piano and sing, something that the bar owner wanted. His thinking was like, okay, I just don't want you sitting here playing piano. So she started singing. And quite honestly, I agree with his thinking. Like, okay, engage. People are coming here, engage with them. Don't just sit there and play piano. Although she easily could have entertained by just playing piano. She was a phenomenal pianist. So he wanted the whole package. And Nina had to figure it out. And she did. Talk about courageous. I mean, just stop and think about how fearless she had to be as she figured out how to sing and reach these people who were sitting in this bar getting drunk. She had to figure herself out musically, and at the same time, she had to figure out, how can I engage the audience? And it worked. She gained popularity. People all across the Eastern Seaboard heard of her, and when they were in the area, they had to go listen to this young lady sing and play. And play she did. Her piano playing was just simply amazing, and it ended up becoming a sound on its own because she was classically trained but soulfully endowed. And the melding of these two things came out to be something that no one has touched since. She ended up signing a record deal with King Records, like James Brown did. She loved Billie Holiday, but also Bach. So this came out in her music, this mix of soul, R&B, gospel, and classical. It came out in a way that only Nina Simone could do it. And she was feisty, gifted, on fire, and she didn't give a crap. Something that drew people in was actually her fire on the stage. Her live performances were filled with emotion, anger, fury, and beauty, all wrapped up into one little package. Now, I need to stop here for a second and just mention again, we're not a biographical podcast, and I could spend hours talking about her battles with depression, the fact that she shot at people in her life, not verbally, physically, fired a weapon at more than just one person. It's actually kind of funny. On one occasion, she shot someone, and he didn't die. And she said, too bad, I was trying to kill him. That's what she said. Okay, fine. She had her run-ins with the law. She had her struggles with fame and depression. But I'm happy that what was left standing after the dust settled was her musical legacy. And music is what I want you, us, the world, to focus on, and her music especially in this episode. So why do I bring up Nina Simone? I mean, isn't she already famous? She isn't underrated or up and coming or indie. So Artie, what gives? Well, I think she is underappreciated by today's binge-watching youth. Yes, Nina Simone has played on so many TV shows and streaming shows that it's mind-boggling. And here's the kicker. No one under 50 knows who the heck it is when they hear it. Or they all say, wow, nice voice. Or, this is a nice sultry sound. Or I like this song. And then they reach for more Doritos and popcorn and continue to drown themselves in sweet distraction. Because yes, we need to be distracted in this world. Most of us hate our jobs, and binge watching Hulu and Netflix helps us forget that in just a few hours we need to go to bed and do it all again. So let me ask you, the listener, have you heard a Nina Simone song? I'm going to answer for you. Yes, you have. That's not even the real question to ask. The real question to ask is, did you know it when you heard it? Here is just a list of some of the shows her music appears on. This Is Us, Scandal, several times on Scandal, Evil, The Umbrella Academy, Dynasty, Atlanta, The Handmaid's Tale, MacGyver, Sherlock, The Intouchables, and scores more movies and TV shows. And I'm not exaggerating. The world loves her, without many even knowing of her. She made a gigantic impact on the music scene. The first song I want you to YouTube, and yes, I want you to actually go to YouTube at some point, if you can. Of course, we're all very busy, but put in the song Sinner Man. And I'm not one of these people, I'm not a music, like naturalist or whatever. Like, okay, the song is 12 minutes long, you have to listen to every second. No, it's a long song. I actually think it's longer than it should be. But go to YouTube and just type in Sinner Man. Sinner Man, one word, by Nina Simone. It's a long song. So I just want you to hear the beginning. There's the piano and the perfect reverb on her voice. And then like in the right ear, you're going to hear some like cymbals being hit. I honestly believe, for as simple as this song is, it's decades ahead of its time. Just the way she plays the piano in it. It actually sounds like the beginning to almost like a disco song, or you almost expect it to turn into electronica or something else. It's just really different. She kind of ended up rewriting many songs too, because a lot of songs were written for her by other songwriters, and then she ended up, interpreting those songs and then making them her own. She didn't write a whole ton of music, but she wrote some. You know the song Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood? Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. That was written for Nina Simone. Now, she ended up recording the first version of that song in 1964, but her version was so inspirational that later the Animals, Elvis Costello, and others actually did a version of that song. The song I Put a Spell on You, written by Screamin' Jay Hawkins in the mid-50s, I think it was 1956, she did a version of that song, and that reached higher on the Billboard charts than the version done by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Just a sidebar, she scat sings at the end of the song, which no doubt she learned as she was listening to jazz. So she incorporates a lot of styles in her music. I watched this video on YouTube of her singing the song Backlash Blues. Just do it. Go to YouTube and just put that in. Watch her live. You get a feel for who she is, because her voice alone kind of comes across soft and sultry, but maybe even vulnerable. But she was anything but vulnerable and soft when she was on stage. Her presence was almost like otherworldly, and she was anything but a pushover or just a woman with a soft voice. She was anything but soft, and she sang about some deep, serious stuff, and she did it fearlessly. And she would talk to the audience at times between verses. Just sit there and talk. She'd sit there at the piano while the band was playing. Maybe she would play a couple licks on the piano or hit a couple of chords. She knew very well how to express herself, and the fans loved it. And you can see that she had a connection with the fans. What I love also about her is that she didn't just play the piano to accompany her singing. There are a lot of wonderful vocalists out there, both male and female, who they play an instrument, whether it's guitar or piano, and they do so just to kind of help guide them vocally, because sometimes you need that guide. Just by yourself singing vocally, you could lose yourself. Nina Simone didn't just play the piano to accompany her singing. It's almost like she sang to accompany her piano playing. Like she played the crap out of that thing. Like amazingly good and expressive. And she knew it too. She featured it very much on stage. She showed people, look at what I can do. She played the piano with ease, so much ease, and she even sang with ease. And she can just like drop a whole octave in the middle of a line she was singing. And then she'll scat sing and then croon and then go back to regular. It's just, she was just absolutely amazing. There will never be anyone else like her. I don't think so. I get the impression too, as I watch and listen to her, it's almost like she played piano and sang in her sleep. You get the impression she wakes up in the morning and, she puts her slippers on, makes coffee, and goes about her morning routine, all singing. Like it's just so much with ease that she just allows this beautiful voice to sing, and it's not just singing, it's expression. And there are moments too when you watch her singing, you forget that she is singing, and you begin to think she's talking to you, but really talking to you, like saying to you, hey, I don't like the crap I see in the world. You see what's going on? This is nonsense. It's she can pull you in. I just loved it. I loved it. Yeah, and I haven't seen anyone do what she. I mean, I'm talking the 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, she performed up until she was quite old. But I mean, we're going back decades, and I have not seen a female vocalist or female artist. Heck, I haven't seen any artist do what Nina Simone has done. Just absolutely amazing. Well, my favorite song by her is actually one that she wrote, which makes me feel happy. I'm a songwriter myself, so I like it when I can actually look at a song that someone had written and then identify with it, And the song is, I Want a Little Sugar in My Bowl. And her vibrato in the song is very nice. The piano is nice. The depth of her voice in the song is just the way it almost like screams at you as it whispers at the same time. It's just 2 minutes and 32 seconds of pure pleasure. I Want a Little Sugar in My Bowl. I couldn't find a good live version of it, but that's okay. So like I said, if I wanted to, this episode could easily be 2 hours long. I almost feel like I could make a mini-series just about Nina Simone, and it wouldn't even get boring. But I just think we all need to be sharp and see Nina Simone, her amazing vocals, her amazing piano playing, and her just wonderful and beautiful musical persona. She is truly, truly one of a kind. If she were born in the year 2000, I honestly believe she would take today's musical world by storm. With all the tools that we have right now, I can only fantasize of what she would do if she was born in the year 2000. With all the, and if she continued, and if she took the same path, she studied music, she really delved into it, she mastered the piano, and then with all the tools that we have now, and all the I don't know, I really think that I actually do think she's underrated. Underappreciated, underrated. I just think that she's really amazing, and she could have actually, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a complete and total buffoon. I feel as though because of the year she was born in, she did what she could with her potential, and she sang with her heart. she's one of the few artists I look at and say, man, I would just love to have like an unending tap into her musical brain today and just use it, because I really feel like she just could have taken the world by storm. And she did, for all intents and purposes, in her era and in her world. She was absolutely Queen Bee. I love her to death. So anyways, Nina Simone, you have to give it a listen. Come be a follower of the podcast on Instagram under B#C, on Facebook under the same name. If you listen to us on Apple, please give us a review. I will not tell you to give us 5 stars. Give us any amount of stars you want. Any review is deeply appreciated, even if it's 1 star. So until next time, this is Artie Astor, your host of B#C, saying